Hi everybody, I'm Ludus Rex, and today I want to talk about getting players at your table. New ones specifically. So we all know life happens. People come, people go, work happens, groups fall apart, schedules conflict. It's the curse of role-playing, essentially. It happens. This is what I do when I get a new player. We've talked to a friend of a friend, and somebody's recommended somebody, or you met somebody someplace. However it goes, when I get a new player at a table, I kind of like to get to know them beforehand, see what's going on with them, and where they want to go in a game. I like to get to know their history. What editions have you played? What are the other role-playing games you've played? How long have you been playing? Not like consecutively, but like relative. 2 years, 5 years, 6 months. Have you played before? You know, these kind of questions. Then, what kind of characters do you like to play? What kind of alignments do you like to play? What do you think you would like to play in this game? And, you know, do some back and forth, see what they come up with. A lot of times you'll come across people that are like, I want to be the chaotic neutral rogue. Okay. Why? I just like to be wild and free and okay, cool. So you're chaotic neutral rogue. Yeah, you're stuck inside of a tavern. Your group. And they happen to have a bunch of people around them. Okay, what do you do? And most of the time they'll be like, I'd probably like get a drink and then probably just like want to look at them and see if who's got money, who's got the biggest coin purse. For me, that's an indicator of sounds like you're somebody who likes to play into the stereotype. Not a bad thing, but you also have to think about what your players at the table are gonna think. You have to think about them. This is a new player. Then after I go through those kind of scenarios, I'll go through other stuff. I like to go over like what would they want to do in a game, things they'd like to fight, things they'd like to come across. What is it that they enjoy about the game? Is it combat? Is it puzzles? Is it role-playing? You know, is it romance? Personal goals? Do they want to do specific quests or go on an epic quest? Or are they more of a murder hobo? That's not a bad thing. It's a style of play. I like to go over what they want to do, what they want to see. Can they fit into the story and the group that I'm already running? Depending upon their answers, you'll get a general gist of who they are, what they're doing, and if you can let them join. Now, here's one thing that a lot of dungeon masters, game masters, people who run the games don't go over. What are some deal breakers in game? Are there things that if you see them in game, you'll actually, as a player, have an emotional response to that you do not want to have? Words that set you off? Are there any actions or deeds in the game that may personally touch upon soft subjects inside of the person that may not necessarily want to express over the table? So there's things you need to go over like violence, slavery, sexual conduct in-game, various other things. There are other situations, some of my players, I've got a couple war veterans. I know that if I do like war, like they go into it, I have to be careful on how much I portray real like war and how immersed I get, you know, into it with them. Because at a certain point, it can be triggering to some people with PTSD if you really get them into that mindset. Now granted, with Dungeons & Dragons, we have that layer of separation with a character and you. But at that same time, if you're really in the role playing, you're feeling what you're playing. So there's not a lot of distance between you and what's going on. So you've got to be careful as a dungeon master what you portray to your players. Granted, we like to evoke emotions, you know, happiness, sadness, panic, these types of things. But also, we've got to be sensitive to other subjects that other people may or may not want brought out on the table. And this is why I ask these questions. What are some things you do not want to see happen at a table that would make you in person uncomfortable? I tell them, you don't have to go into specific detail. You don't have to tell me what happened. Just give me some ideas of things that you do not want to see at this table. If brought up would make you very uncomfortable, if not want to get up and leave. After all of this, after they've gone through most of the questions and whatnot, I go through a set of riddles to see how they think. One's a literal, one's a metaphorical, and one's a puzzle. It's both physical and a word puzzle. So my first one, I am the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space. I am the beginning of every end, and at the end of every place. Let them ramble on. Give you 4, 5, 6 answers. Now you're going to start to see how the player thinks, how they guess, how they problem solve. Now some people, you'll see they'll be like, oh God, spirits. They'll go with like the ethereal, you know, unknowable, the untangible kind of stuff. That's okay. It just lets you know where their mind goes. Let them get some of the answers out and be like, all right, would you like the answer? And this one's the literal one. It's the letter E. Most people will smack themselves in the forehead. Ask them if they're ready for the second one. This is the metaphorical one. What is a room that has no walls? You'll get people saying all sorts of stuff like an egg. That is A, answer, but it's not the answer. And then they start figuring out like, well, what's a box that has no walls? What is a thing? They'll be like, oh, jail, or your mind, this type of stuff. You'll find out there are some good answers from people here. And now you get to really dig into like the nitty gritty of what they're thinking. Take some notes, where they tend to go with their thoughts. Yet again, 4 or 5 answers. It's a mushroom. And again, people are like, oh yeah, because riddles are like that. Some are literal, some are metaphorical, some are just wordplay. Gotta figure it out. Now here's my favorite one. And I've only had 2 people that I've ran this word / physical puzzle through. Imagine you're standing at a doorway, and in front of you lie 3 5-foot blocks, all pressed together in a walkway. Beyond that walkway is about another 5-foot span of utter darkness. Can't see anything in it. And beyond that is a pedestal with a door and a chest. And there's a plaque next to the door that says, everything you want is a hop, skip, and a jump away. This is where you get to find out how they're gonna solve physical stuff. They'll be like, okay, I look around, I see what's going on. What's the blocks made out of? Are they put together right? Is there any space? You're gonna find out that they're more spatial reasoning people. And they're gonna start looking around. Okay, I search for traps. I look for any handholds. And this is how you know that their physicality of how they solve things is based on sight. Then there's the second type where people go, wait, so how many feet is per block and how many is this? You know, they'll start asking you questions that you've already described, at which point break out a battle map. These people are more physical observers, not theater of the mind. That's not a bad thing. It's just a way of playing and a way their mind works. Now, at this point, people will start solving the puzzle, trying to solve the puzzle. So they'll ask you again, everything you want is a hop, skip, and a jump away. The way this puzzle works is that if you don't get the right order, you fall through the floor, through the roof, and go back to the beginning. Take 1 damage. You have 4 hit points. Most people will be like, all right, I hop onto the first one. Okay, you are sturdy on the first block. Like, all right, I skip the second one. Now here's where I make people tell me what they mean by skip. Now, do you mean skip as in you avoid? Or do you mean skip as a physical action, like kids do, you know, frolicking? They skip. And most people are like, well, I skip it, you know, so I jump over it, I avoid it. So when they hit the third block, whoop, they fall through, land back at the beginning. And then they're like, okay, I don't know. So the way this puzzle is solved, yet again, I've only had, I think, 2 people now solve this puzzle the right way. Hop onto the first one. Now it could be a frog hop, it could be a bunny hop all the way across. It doesn't matter. The second one, you have to physically skip across. And sometimes you can ask your players to get up and demonstrate what the skip looks like. It's hilarious. I enjoy it. You don't have to, but it makes for them being very involved. Third, now here's the big one. When they get to the end of the second square, they have to jump over the third square into the void, the blackness, the thing that looks like there's nothing there. And as they jump and they land, they notice that there's an invisible style bridge and that it leads all the way over to the pedestal with the door and the chest. Kind of like Indiana Jones when he took that whole leap of faith and he stepped over onto a bridge that was like an optical illusion. Same thing. And as they get over, some people will be like, all right, I open the chest. At which point you're like, you open the chest, a mimic eats you, you die. Because it lets you know also, how greedy are they? Are they thinking about traps? That kind of thing. Which sometimes it's great. Another one is they'll avoid the chest altogether and they'll walk through the door. Now at this point, sometimes I like to give them a little bit of a interesting thing. I'll be like, all right, the door's locked, what do you do? And then you can either go through the fourth style of puzzle, which is let them figure out how to unlock the door, or you can just tell them, cool, thank you. That, you know, lets me know how you think, how you run things. Good job on the puzzle. And that's pretty much what I do for my new, well, soon to be new players, is going through the interviewing, going through the process, and really getting to know them, how they think, and why they think it. And then I can incorporate that into the game. Them as players have places to shine, get them used to the game, get them really integrated. And if you find a bunch of people that have a lot of similarities, you can really sit down and design some great stuff if you just know how they think. Sometimes theater of the mind's great, sometimes it's not. Sometimes some people that like the physical puzzles aren't gonna like those, so you gotta give them another place to shine. Just sitting down figuring out how people think, what they do, how they're gonna react. That's pretty much what I like to do at the very beginning of a, friendship with somebody for Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you for watching, everybody. My name's Ludus Rex. Please like, subscribe, and share this. If you'd like to see anything else, give me a comment down below, and I'll try to make an episode about it or at least respond. Remember, for those about to roll, I salute you.